Hey guys, in this video we're going to be building an advice generator with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So it's going to be using the advice API to generate random advices every single time you hit a button or something. So I need you to download the starter files here, which will be in the description down below. So please download the starter files because it has a button and it has other things. But you can also follow along, but I highly recommend it. So when you download that files, I've opened mine in Visual Studio Code. So this is the design of our building. This is essentially what we're building. So it's going to be generating advices every single time. So let's get started. And this is the advice generator API. This will also be in the description down below if I remember. But you can just Google advice API and use. Okay, so let's get started quickly. So I'm going to be using a link tag. Then we're going to make our CSS file style.css. Okay, it's going to be in the general scope mode. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do obviously is to have a container. And if you want to, have a container. So what do we want to do? So we want to create this layout. I think this is just basically a card. Then it has the body and maybe this thing here. So first of all, we'll say h4. We're just gonna hard code this in, but later it's gonna be dynamic. Advice #1174. Then the advice itself is gonna be something. Okay, so the advice is gonna be subscribe to Tech Upfront because he tries to make good, useful videos. So that's going to be the advice, and then finally we're going to put that stuff here, and this stuff is absolutely positioned. So we're going to put the this image is an image dot slash images slash pattern divider desktop. So there's even one for mobile self. So let's click on go live so you can see what we're building. Okay, then we want to put this dice. So image dice. This is why I said to download the starter files. Okay, so we have everything in place. So I'm gonna give this some ID. Let's say image dice. We're gonna give this one of ID. I'm gonna give it for ID. Let's name it advice ADID. So ADID means advice ID. And ID is going to be AD body, advice body. So let's get started with the CSS right away. So we're going to come here to the style guide because it gives us some nice colors. So we want to get the background color. So I think let's look at the background color. I think it's between this one, maybe dark blue or dark grayish blue. So let's see body, background color. That seems pretty identical. The color is gonna be FFF. So let's target our container. So container display flex, and if this is a bit over your head, flexbox, it's not really hard. We're just putting everything in a flex container and centering it horizontally, vertically. So if it's a bit over your head, I have a video on CSS concept to skyrocket your CSS skills. You can go and check that video out. it should be out by the time of recording. Okay, so we're gonna have a card with 300 pixels, and inside this card we want the card has its own background, so background color, we want to give it this background color. I think it's dark blue, or rather grayish blue. Let's see. I nailed it. So let's give it a padding of about 20 pixels. Oh, am I sure? No, I don't think it's it. I don't think that's it. I think it's dark blue. Sometimes I don't know why Frontend Mentor doesn't just label. They don't just label it. They want you to be finding it by yourself. Very, very annoying. Actually, I think this is the body's own. So I think we need to swap them. So cut, put this here. Cut this and put this here. I think this is how it should be. Maybe we can give this so let's get the font, because without the font we won't be able to properly design. The font is like super important, or we'll be having some pretty weird stuff. So copy this, copy, and we'll copy this as well. So we have gotten the fonts. Wait. Okay, paste. And again, everything is in the style guide, so make sure, this is why I said you should download the style guide, because it has a link to the font as well. Okay, so we have the font. First of all, we want this ADI, hashtag ADID, to have a text align center. Then I want it to have that color, that green color, neo green. Sorry, it should be color, not background color. Okay, so let's control this image now. So image, which is we didn't give it anything, so we'll just say pattern, hashtag pattern. So pattern should have a width of 100%. That should make it into its container. The reason why we're having some major differences is because this needs to be a little bit bigger, and we need to control this guy. So let's do this guy. So to position that guy there, we're going to give the container, or rather the card, a position of relative. Again, check my CSS concepts if you are confused. Hashtag dice. So dice, we're going to give the dice a position of absolute so that we can take it out of that normal document flow. So we're going to position bottom 0, maybe left 150 pixels, 140, 130, 10, 50, 60. Okay, so I think I like it here. And then this pattern, we could give it a margin bottom of 10 pixels. Let's look at it again. So it's kind of like in the center, so we'll give it that background with that new background color. We'll give it a padding of about 10 pixels so we can see that. Border radius 50%. Okay, now it's getting similar. So let's give, instead of bottom 0, let's say bottom 20 pixels. Oh, sorry, minus 20 pixels. Then we can adjust this, make it 155 a little bit. Okay. Then the whole card, we can give the whole card a border radius of about 10 pixels. Okay, I think everything is looking into place. Let's make this text a little bit big. And yeah, the spacing here has some spacing here has some spacing here. I think we need more spacing, so 30 pixels. Yeah, and let's space it more. So the paragraph AD body, margin top 10, paste, save. So I don't want to give it margin all around because that will mess up the layout. To give it margin all around is going to mess up the layout, so we don't want that at all. And you can see that this guy has some, like letter spacing. So letter spacing maybe 1 pixel. Oh, yep. Yeah, 3 pixels. This guy has margin, that's why it's preventing it from going to the very top. And moreover, these guys, we want to give them a font size of about 20 pixels. Let's reduce the margin on this end. So it's a bit bigger. Maybe we can increase the size a little bit, 320. And come back, increase the padding again. And since we have increased everything, we have to change our position relative, increase this as well. So that is just in the center here. So this advice here, what I'm thinking is I want to give it margin. Okay, I want to give it a margin of none, 0. Wow, we actually need that, but we don't need margin top. So margin top 0. And we also have to give it margin here too as well. So the dice, the pattern, you can give it, make it margin bottom 20. Copy this advice ID. Okay, here 2020. Okay, let's just start with this. At least we have something super close. So let's start adding the dynamic JavaScript. So I was thinking of having a script tag, but let me just have a JavaScript file so that people don't get angry in the comment section or something. So first of all, so what do we want to do? So what I think we should do is we have to say window dot add event listener, DOM content loaded. Okay, then here we want to fetch that data. So this fires when the content has properly loaded. So this is the API that we want to be using. Copy, as you can see, if we just test this in and run this in the browser, it's going to give us an advice here. I want to say we want this to be an async function. But let's just make this a bit cleaner by doing this like this. So we call this fetch data. So we define our function fetch data. I know I can use an arrow function, but I just kind of like defining my functions like this. It looks very declarative. So that we can use async await. So constant response is going to be equal to await fetch. So we're going to console log the response.json. So async await is not really hard really. So there's nothing we're doing here. Normally, we normally do a dot then and say something like response.then, but what async await does is that it fetches this and allows us to save this to a variable because this is a promise. So what to do is to pause it and get whatever is here and save to this variable. So what we want is that we want the response to JSON. So we can just console log response.json. Okay, I come to our app, hit inspect, console, so we refresh everything, and we save our JavaScript. So this is not supposed to be done, it's DOM coded loaded. Sorry, let's capitalize that. Okay, now it's running. Said response is not defined. Okay, response or JSON. So it says it has been fulfilled, and we can see it here. So this is what response or JSON is. So we can say console.log response or JSON dot sleep. It was undefined. Why? Okay, this is also a promise. So let's say the JSON is equal to await response dot JSON. Now let's console the log. So we should get that sleep. So we get it here. Sleep ID, whatever, and this. So we just have to just do that. We just have to just change this, change this, and our job is literally done. So let's select those elements quickly. AD ID and AD body, right? Then we'll also select this later on because when we click it should generate just to run that function again. So let's select this. Constant advice AD ID is going to be equal to document, and I always recommend you use query selector. Query selector and query selector all are the best. AD ID. Sorry, it's supposed to be AD title. I'm just going to put an underscore there so that it's more clear. A and AD body. So that stands for advice title and advice body. Okay, we can see those here and here. So inside the slip we have advice. Okay, so we want to say AD underscore title dot inner text. The inner text to equal so what I want to say, so one set to JSON, json.sleep.advice, or rather .id. Okay, so it changes it. Nice. But the funny thing is that it had advice there, so we don't want to remove the advice. So we can just, a nice and easy code, just say advice down, it is not coming. So the way to do this is to use backticks. Sorry. So let's use backticks. Advice then we're now substituting the json.sleep.id. So what we want to do for the body, we want to do almost the identical thing for the body. Add underscore body. We want to say, we don't want to put this advice, we just put in the body text like this, json.sleep.advice. Cannot read inner text of null. Okay, it's supposed to be ad body, not a body. So eliminate unnecessary, eliminate the unnecessary. Okay, so when we click it, it's supposed to make a little dice sound, right? Okay, no, it doesn't make any dice sound. When we click it, it's supposed to run this function again. And then after that, we should be done, just run. Then we'll now do some finishing touches, because I don't think it's quite perfect yet. So constant dice will be equal to document.query selector dice. So dice dot add event listener, click, then we want to run the fetch data function. So we can just move our event listeners to the top. It does not matter even if where did I go? We can move it to the top because it doesn't matter if the function is declared at the bottom anyway. So reference error. Okay, we'll just put this at the bottom. Say cannot read properties of null, line 13. Okay, I said dice. You can click. Now we are getting a new advice every single time. So let's adjust this text. So the way to capitalize this, as you can see, is always is in capital letter. So we'll just come here to the ADID text transform uppercase, then we'll add that hash. So what we want to do, we want to add double quotes inside of here too, and remove this colon. So inside here, we don't need to put this again. We can just put loading. Loading. We could design a loading spinner, but I don't want this video to be longer than it already is. So loading spinner will take me like 5 minutes to do. So this is the closest thing we got. So we can never waste an opportunity. Okay. Don't use Excel or Power for your basic processing. This one, maybe I'll take this one. Okay. before we close the video, let's just see if there's anything we're supposed to do on mobile. So okay, yeah, the button is not looking good. And one more thing. Okay, on 375 it looks good because we're supposed to design for 375. We will change this. So let's just do that quickly. At media, let's just say max width 350 pixels, or rather 375 pixels. What we want to do is I want to change the background image here. So where do we declare that? Oh, sorry, we want to change the image here, right? Because here I don't think any mobile screen is less than 320. Let's just change this instead. I don't think there's much difference in the pattern designing for mobile or desktop, right? I don't think there's much difference. So if you look at the desktop one, they are basically the same thing. Okay, I think one is shorter. So let's look at it on desktop design again. I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter. What matters is that this guy is not at the center. So let's watch when it starts going haywire. I think from 330. So 330 pixels. We're not supposed to design for this. It's 375, and it looks good on 375. But let's just design for 320 anyway. So hashtag dice left 150 pixels. Okay, 130 pixels. Okay, so it looks good on across all devices. You can even go down, but I don't think any device is 245 pixels. We're looking at a smartwatch here. So if you go up, everything looks perfect. Okay, I think that's in the end for the tutorial here. Looks good. It's stable even when we go down to something like 320. There is kind of like a shift there on the button, because the button is shifting to the layout. So nice, it looks 320, 375, 425, tablet, it looks okay. So I'm gonna wrap up the video here.